From Canada, this is the GCN show.
Welcome to the GCN show, brought to you by Wiggle.
We are once again tackling the biggest issues in cycling. This week, who's the fittest? Mountain bikers or road riders?
We also take a look at a brand new app which shows you the safest roads on which to ride. We've got pro cyclists out there in the wild saving kittens, and news of the latest thing to be banned in road racing. This week in the world of cycling, we learnt that Nicolo Bonifacio, as well as being a demon descender, is also an animal rescuer.
Yeah, here he is, having rescued an abandoned kitten that he found near a bin bag next to a fountain. I can't say that with a straight face. I'm sorry.
Apparently, after the kitten bit him on that ride home, he's called it Nibbly. It's the best we've got.
Great joke that, Dan. Great joke.
We also learnt this week that the Dutch and nature breaks at the Giro d'Italia appear to go hand in hand. You will all remember what happened to Tom Dumoulin a couple of years ago at the very race. This year, Bauke Mollema used his return to the bunch from a nature break to make a solo effort to warm himself up for the mountains. And then on Sunday, the Jumbo-Visma DS Jan Boven was so desperate to stop for the toilet. Well, he stopped at the worst possible moment because it was exactly the same time that Primož Roglic was desperate for a new bike after a mechanical on his one.
Yeah, fortunately for Roglic, teammate Antoine Tolhoek was on hand. They ride an almost identical sized bike, and had he not lent him it, then Roglic, well, the 40 seconds he lost probably could have been a heck of a lot worse. And there's a slight irony, isn't there, that poor old Boven, having stopped for a wee, then spent the rest of the stage completely himself.
Yes, he probably did, until he got back up there. Anyway, we also this week finally learnt that Mathieu Van Der Poel is now the complete package. This year he's already won at the very top level in road racing and also in cyclocross. And on Sunday, for the first time in his career, he won a UCI mountain bike cross-country World Cup.
That's right, World Cyclocross Champion, winner in the World Tour on the road, and now World Mountain Bike Cup round winner, all in the space of 4 months. At the weekend, he was locked in battle with probably the greatest of all time, Nino Schurter, until the last lap when he launched a stinging attack, a trademark stinging attack, and left Schurter for dead. Well, not quite for dead, but 19 seconds by the line is pretty good going, isn't it?
Yeah, that is very impressive. Although, less than the time that he had to make up at the Amstel Gold Race in the last 2 kilometres,
well, yes,
just 1 month ago. Which makes you wonder, is Nino Schurter in fact fitter than most of the rest of the World Tour roadies?
Well, to be fair, there is quite a precedent, isn't there, of top mountain bikers going on to have successful road careers. Peter Sagan, for one. I mean, he was only World Junior mountain bike champ in 2008. But we know what he's done.
Yeah, there's Cadel Evans as well. He was the overall mountain bike cup champion, should I say. He went on to win the Tour de France, of course. And then you've got Jean-Christophe Perrault, silver medalist at the Beijing Olympics in mountain bike cross country, and then second at the Tour de France in 2014.
That's right, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot. She was world cross, road and mountain bike champ, all at the same time in 2015, which is just bonkers, isn't it, really? And she'd done that as a junior as well.
She had, yeah. And then more recently, Anneke Langvad, she's made her World Tour debut this year at the ripe old age of 35. She's a 5-time world champion in the off-road disciplines and has been pretty successful this year on the road. She was second at Strade Bianche, she was third at Flèche Wallonne, and fourth at Amstel Gold.
Yeah, and then lastly, what about Jakob Fuglsang, top mountain bike pro? And then this year, he cemented his road career with the win at the monument that is Liège. And in fact, he probably has to thank his mountain bike career for this crazy display of skills.
Jakob Fuglsang, our victor. Oh, that was close for Fuglsang.
I wonder if he just held that up through luck, to be honest.
No, skills. Mountain bike skills.
Whatever. There are plenty of examples of successful mountain bikers going on to become successful roadies. But are there any that have gone over and failed?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's 2 pretty good examples of unsuccessful mountain bikers who went on to become unsuccessful roadies, sat right here. But no, in answer to your question, I wonder whether Nino Schurter himself is actually the prime example. If memory serves me correctly, back in about 2014, he very briefly rode for Orica Green Edge for the Tour of Switzerland, and I think he went on to finish 53rd overall, and his best place on the stage was just 8th.
from memory. I looked that up on Pro Cycling Stats before we came on.
Amateur.
Anyway, this year there's another example. Matthias Flückiger rode for the Swiss national team at the Tour de Romandie. He finished in 45th place overall, and on the hardest stage of the race, he was almost 4 minutes down on the stage winner Primož Roglic.
Yeah, to be fair to him, it's not exactly going to be his season goal, is
No.
it? Given that the World Mountain Bike Cups were starting just a few weeks later. But still, it's interesting to see.
I wonder if there's more to it than that with the goals. I think it's just a very different effort that you have to make as a cross-country mountain biker, isn't it? I mean, they're enormously powerful, but the delivery of that power is different. So slogging your way up a slippery, muddy climb at 500 watts is a very different effort to trying to hang on to a strung out bunch at 60 k's per hour at 500 watts.
That is very, very true. There's also the duration of efforts, isn't it? If you look at like a power file of a cross-country mountain bike race, you'll see in the region of about 35% of the time, a rider is way above threshold, putting out way more power. But yet, for 30% of the time, they're not even pedaling at all.
No sustained effort.
No, so you can imagine why he's going to struggle trying to hang on to Primož Roglic for 30 minutes at 400 watts.
That is true. Although there are people that appear to be able to do both.
Right, yeah.
Van Der Poel being an example. This is not a long sustained effort, but in winning Amstel Gold, he did 27 seconds as like a self lead out where he averaged over 650 watts and 57 k's per hour. And then for the last 16 seconds, he sprinted off the back of his own lead out at 1200 watts average.
Leading yourself out to victory has got to be the pinnacle of cool, isn't it? 800 watts for over 40 seconds he sustained. That's like, what, 10 watts per kilo at the end of 260 kilometres. We also managed to find some data for Kate Courtney, the World Mountain Bike champion over on Training Peaks. So at the World Champs last year, she put out 7.6 watts per kilo for the first 2 minutes of the event, which again is completely different to the road, isn't it? But then she went on to sustain 6 watts per kilo each lap up the main climb. That's pretty good going, isn't
That's
it?
very good going. When you look at those data points though, it's pretty easy to understand why top-level mountain bikers do become, in general, top-level road riders when they put their mind to it. It just requires a kind of transitional period where you learn the different skills. That said, I think what can be a lot harder is going back in the other direction.
Well, that's very true, actually. An example of which, Nicole Cook, remember her? So she was Olympic road champ, multi-time world road champ. She was also world junior mountain bike champ. And she, at the height of her career on the road, tried to go back to mountain biking, and she struggled. Like, she literally came straight from being world #1 to getting kind of like, I think it was struggling to get in top 20 in World
Really?
Cups. Yeah, I just seem to remember that.
I can sympathise with that, actually, Si, because back in the year 2000, I competed at the World Under-23 Mountain Bike Cross-Country Championships.
Right.
I finished towards the back. But anyway, a few years later, in 2005, whilst riding for Giant Asia, they asked me to compete in a cross-country mountain bike race in Taiwan, and I was dismal.
Really?
It was a real shock to the system.
So you went
I
from
also-
finishing almost last at the World Championships for under-23s to being rubbish 5 years later.
Almost last, but at a much smaller race.
Yeah. Well, two amazing examples there. Nicole Cook, Olympic road race champion, and Dan both struggled to make it back. But to be fair, I mean, it does raise a point, doesn't it, actually, that for a mountain bike pro and to go over to a road pro, you know, the talent is similar, I think, isn't it? And the power levels are similar. You just need to adapt. But to go back is tough because not only have you got to adapt for the power delivery, you also have those skills, don't you? Mountain bike skills that are pretty tough to learn.
Well, skills that really help on the road in many cases.
Well,
And
yeah.
that's again being a really good example. And you can pull a mean wheelie, Si, can't you?
Depends what you mean by mean, but yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I was just taking a mic. Right, something else on a slightly different subject that we're going to learn about this coming weekend is how pro road riders get on at an ultra-endurance gravel race. You remember at the start of this year, EF Education First announced they'll also be competing in an alternative racing calendar, which will include the Dirty Canter, which is coming up on this Saturday. Now, they've named their 3 riders participating. We've got Taylor Finney, we've got Alex Howes and Lachlan Morton. And also competing there will be Pete Stettner for Trek Segafredo on one of the coolest looking bikes I've seen in some time.
That is super cool, isn't it? Now, he, you'll remember, won the Canyon Belgian Waffle Ride recently, kind of gravelish road event on his aero bike, which is pretty cool. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they fare in the Dirty Kansas. 200 miles, and it's a lot longer than your average World Tour race. It's going to be like 11 hours for the winner.
Just 4 hours more than the longest monument, isn't it? Completely self-supported too, so that's going to be different.
Yeah, no dabbling in pickle juice, guys.
No.
Even though it sounds disgusting and you might think it's funny, if it's an outside pickle juice hand up, you're going to get disqualified.
Yeah, and you're going to blow up the internet. Although do put some time trial bars on your gravel bike. That will also blow up the internet, but it's allowed.
Yeah.
It's time now for your weekly GCN inspiration, which is, of course, your chance to win one of 3 Wiggle voucher amounts. We choose our favourite 3 each week, and going in reverse order, there's £50 of Wiggle vouchers for 3rd place, £75 for 2nd, and a whopping £100 to do with whatever you want over on the Wiggle Online shop if you win.
That's right, in 3rd place this week. This one is local to Lloydie. That's right, Velo DLG posted this from Sopley in Dorset in the United Kingdom.
No favouritism here. We only saw the location after we'd chosen the photo. But yeah, Sopley about a mile away from where I grew up in a village called Bransgore.
Well, there we go.
Stuff.
There we go. Cycling trivia.
I do love the lanes. What I like about the UK is that the lanes are so nice to ride on because they're really quiet. There's so many to choose from. What detracts from the UK is, of course, the weather, which is why most people head off to Mallorca and sunnier climes. But that day, well, it looks like there might be rain on the horizon, but for the time being...
Given there's a rainbow, mate, I think it's safe to say it was raining.
Moving on.
Yeah, still, there we go. Well deserved 50 quid. Right, this one, Mitchell takes 2nd place with this from New Orleans in Louisiana. That's cool. Not a raindrop in sight there, Lloydie.
No, there isn't. That does also very sunny with the shade, doesn't it? I'd like a photo like that. I've attempted to take them myself, but quite unsuccessfully, as you can imagine.
To be fair, that's what you look like even without a shadow, isn't it?
Very good, son. Very good.
Thanks.
And then the winner this week, so a drum roll. From Volker.
What
a name. This is from the Jebel Jais mountain, which I think hosted a mountaintop finish at the Abu Dhabi Tour this year, or the UAE Tour as it was called. Final of the 20-kilometre descent down Jebel Jais into the canyon.
Whoa. That looks cool.
I mean, quite a lot wider than roads around Sopley, but slightly more spectacular actually. I was going to say equally spectacular when you look at the scenery.
That doesn't hold a candle to British lanes. I mean, look at those beautiful rock walls and pristine tarmac.
Yes. Well, anyway, well done to you, Volker. We'll get those £100 of Wiggle vouchers over to you as soon as possible. Before we finish with this segment, though,
yes, we need your help.
We were going to include this photo, which we saw from Andrew over in New Zealand, but we couldn't work it out.
Yeah. Is this Photoshop, Andrew? We're kind of simpletons when it comes to things like pictures, aren't we? It's a wicked photo, but we can't understand it.
No.
And we didn't want to award you a prize if you've basically done it on your computer.
All the comments like, can't believe you gave some vouchers to a photoshopped photo.
Yeah, so Andrew, if you can prove it's a legitimate photo, you're in the money next week. But
if you can put it into words simply enough for a couple of simpletons to understand, then there might be a prize for you next week. A reminder of how to enter, in fact. The hashtag is GCN Inspiration over on Instagram, or you can do as Andrew did there and use the uploader, a link to which is in the description below.
The thing is, mate, it looks like a raindrop falling off a sign, but why is the sign upside down? And why is what if you turn it the right way up, then it's not a raindrop anymore? That's what I can't get my head around.
It's now time for cycling shorts.
Cycling shorts now, and we'll start with a story from Forbes, who are reporting a new app for cycling called Bikelight that is a navigation app, but it plots the safest routes through cities.
Navigation with a difference, basically. This was something that Pauline Barrier, the creator, was driven to start up after the unfortunate death of a friend through a collision. She got her team to develop an algorithm which helps riders to avoid the faster streets and instead go down bike paths or quieter streets or parks, or basically streets that have got less than a 30km/h maximum speed limit. Now, interestingly, you can also upload your own data, which will then add to the algorithm to keep you safer out there.
Yeah, sounds really cool, doesn't it? I think I'll be checking that one out. Now, last week we reported on that survey of the best cities in the world for cycling. Well, the United States Census has delivered a list of the most popular cities in the US now for cycling to work or to school. And now there are some unsurprising names at the top of that list, like Palo Alto, Santa Cruz, Boulder, but number one, by quite some margin, is Davis, which is just outside Sacramento in California. And there, 20% nearly of all the population commute by bike.
Unbelievable stuff. We actually asked you there at home if you could fill us in on exactly why Davis has got almost 10% more commuters than the second place Boulder. And we got a reply here from Andrew Basol, who said they've been working on making their town a bicycle paradise since the 60s. Helps that it's a college town and also flat. They have designed their town to have cut-throughs that are only for bikes and pedestrians. They've also strategically placed their schools around town so that all attendees are expected to get there via either bike or walking. But also says that even the main streets are more than safe for experienced cyclists to navigate around.
It's like a bit of the Netherlands in California. And I'll be honest, I'll confess, I've never heard of it before. So he actually suggests that we stop by if we're at the Tour of California. So I think we should make.
Well, he also says it's worth making the trip just to go to Davis. So maybe we will one day.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, now some interesting news from here in the UK when it comes to racing. Now, who here winces every time they see a seasoned professional using imaginary tri-bars or pedalling on their top tubes?
Me.
Yeah, 100% unanimous from right here.
Understandable, really, given how sketchy it looks when you see riders doing that on television. Fair enough, if you're a World Tour pro and you're full-time and paid to do it, but then it always filters down, doesn't it, to non-World Tour riders who want to copy their heroes.
Yeah, except, Dan, if you're trying to race the Lee Valley Youth League, yeah? Now, we've not heard of this before, but it seems like commissaires there are going to actually put a stop to riding on imaginary aero bars or pedalling on the top tube.
Which got another thumbs up from both of us here, isn't it? Bear in mind that we're
indeed.
both approaching middle age rather rapidly.
Well, you described me, my age, as the ripe old age earlier on in this show.
35, yeah. Well, I'm the ripe old age of almost 39 now, Si, would you believe it? Anyway,
Yeah,
we would like to know
believe
if
it.
you've heard of this taking place in any other races or indeed sportives. Have you seen them ban that position before?
Yeah. Right, one last little nugget of information for cycling shorts, and this one comes courtesy of the American Thoracic Society Conference 2019.
It was absolutely brilliant.
Was it?
I've never been to Dallas before, but I'm definitely going back in 2020. It's already in my diary.
Really? Well, there we go. We now know where Lloydie was last week. It's a shame you couldn't report back live from there, wasn't it? But I guess...
No, I made notes, though.
Did you? Okay, cool. Well, because this is a paper that was presented there, wasn't it? And it actually looks into sleep deprivation in ultra-endurance cyclists, or rather one ultra-endurance cyclist.
It did, yeah. They basically followed a Race Across America record breaker. And the conclusion at the end of it all, that were power naps are enough for you to produce a superhuman performance. They also then concluded, though, that lack of sleep overall is not detrimental to concentration on the bike, which seems like a bit of a leap. Really.
It does, doesn't it? I've kind of got to take exception with this. I can see how to a non-cyclist being able to ride for 11 days straight with only a total of 7 hours sleep, which is bonkers, can lead you to the conclusion that you must still be able to concentrate because you're able to ride a bike. Except to a seasoned bike rider, you know that you can pretty much ride a bike in your sleep, but what you can't necessarily do is ride a bike safely. And that is what the researchers kind of should have maybe looked into on the finish line. But
apparently, if you want to compete at the Lee Valley Youth League, you need to prove that you had at least 8 hours sleep the night before.
Is that right? No. Sleep deprivation outlawed as well.
It's time now for Hack/Bodge of the Week, and hot on the heels of saving kittens, we had this sent in from Rich, walking through Centre Square and came upon Noli perched on her bike. Her owner rides around 75 miles per week with her.
Well, is that saving a dog or is that endangering a dog? I mean, it looks like a fairly effective safety harness on there, made out of pipe lagging. But to be fair, I can imagine that being quite good fun if I was a dog. I'd be up for that.
Maybe there's an airbag on there.
Yeah, right. Donald sent this one in from South Uist in the Outer Hebrides in Scotland.
Wow.
He said, heading to the sand dunes for bank holiday and not wanting to ride in his road shoes.
Bodge. Immediately, that's a bodge.
Yeah,
First time I've seen that photo.
I wonder why you don't just carry stuff in a rucksack. But nevertheless, effective use of space.
Just dehydrated by the end of that ride.
Wow, it's often not that hot up there, is it? So you'll be right.
Next up from Benny over in Valencia in Spain. Cleaned up my white cycling shoes and thought I needed a splash of colour. Spent only €12 at a hardware shop for some spray paint and most masking tape to create some cool personalised shoes.
That does look pretty cool, doesn't it? It looks a little bit like when you run through a muddy puddle, except multicoloured.
Yeah, Hacklebodge.
I don't know, mate.
No. Well, I mean, the problem is that after a certain amount of time, it can be hard to get them pearly white again, can't they?
Yeah.
Although it kind of looks like they're a bit dirty now, like they were before.
It's kind of cool, isn't it? I'm all for shoe customisation, but that was a fine pair of shoes to start with, so, you know. I don't know, jury's out. Let us know what you think in the comment section. Next up, Tom Sawyer. My mate Adrian couldn't fit his keys in his saddlebag while doing the tour of Connemara this weekend. Is this a hack or a bodge?
What on earth is that key ring?
It's a pair, I think.
Pair of what?
Well, anyway, I mean, that is a bodge, isn't it?
Oh my word, that looks horrible.
Yeah, just...
Yeah, keep them inside, something, please.
No one wants a wrinkly pair hanging from his saddlebag.
Next up, we saw this one of a rider watching the Giro d'Italia whilst out on a train ride. That was sent in to us by Chris Froome.
Well, Chris, that's an absolute bodge.
Yeah.
We definitely can't advocate watching TV while cycling.
Although, he actually put quite a funny reply to somebody saying, well, if anybody can be safe whilst looking down at their stair on a road ride, it's me. Which I thought was brilliant from Chris Froome.
Yeah, good bands, Chris. Ben Ward, is this Simon Richardson's hot-looking bike seen in Bristol today? Room for a certain Daniel Lloyd on the back as well.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's not mine, actually, although I do fancy a hot bike like that in the middle of winter.
We've had a similar submission before, and I'm going to use exactly the same joke. Not sure if it's a hack or a bodge, but it's rad.
Yay!
Hey!
The thing that I'm worried about that, mate, imagine riding that, and you know, every now and then, touch wood, I haven't had one for a while, but you slip off the front of your saddle, and you end up on your top tube. Imagine ending up on a radiator.
Yeah.
My word, that doesn't bear thinking about, is it?
Best to have them on the outside of your saddlebag in that situation. Right, next up from Jim Reed. I discovered one of the grips of my old cycling shoes had worn away completely. Rummaged around the spares box for something to replace it. Found an old V-brake pad, glued it on, let it set overnight. Sorted.
That is good. That is a proper...
it?
Yeah, it is. No, seriously, this is a bit nerdy, but back in the day, when I was racing mountain bikes, and I used to want to use road shoes, I don't know why, and you can't use road shoes with a cleat like that, but if you glue on some side supports, you can. So I used to do that back in 2005.
But the road shoes have got a 3-bolt pattern and they're 2-bolt.
No, not back then they didn't.
Did they not?
No, back then they used to have double bolts, yeah. Nike Poggio 2s, they used to do those.
Let us know in the comment section below if you believe Si. All right, well, that's all for this week's Hack and Bodge. The usual way of submitting your photos for that one, it's hashtag GCN Hack over on social media, or you can use the uploader. There's a link to that, of course, below.
This face always tells the truth, by the way, just let you know. It's Caption Competition now, that point in the show where we give you a photo and you have to write an amusing caption in the comment section. Firstly, we will do the winner of last week, where they're going to get their hands on a GCN Camelback water bottle. This was the photo, Primoz Roglic on the podium doing his trademark ski jumper thing. We said that he's a former ski jumper.
I think we have. I didn't even find out myself till a couple
So
of days
basically,
ago.
Primoz Roglic, would you believe, was a former ski jumper? I know. And now he's leaving the Giro. Well,
make
not
more
leaving
of
the
that,
Giro, is he?
shouldn't we?
But you know what I mean.
Right, anyway, the winner of this week's Caption Competition is Tim Bishop, who put, don't worry, no podium girls were armed in the making of this picture.
Yay!
Well done, Tim. Send us your address over on a Facebook message and we will get this, or a GCN Camelback water bottle out to you as soon as possible. Probably one that you can use in your bike.
Yeah, really, podium girls should be out of harm's way completely, shouldn't they? And just not on podiums anymore.
Well, don't go there again, mate. We did that before, didn't we? And we got absolutely blasted in the comments by a lot of people.
Yeah. Anyway, there we go. Right, this is the photo for this week's Caption Competition for you all to get your teeth stuck into. So that's Richard Carapaz, who is actually leading the Giro as we film this, giving Hugh Carthy a little tap on the hip there.
So he's getting a toe. Right, I shall start you off.
Go on then, mate. We've been waiting for it because last week was rubbish.
From the mouth of Richard Carapaz. Thank you.
What?
Thank you. It's a pun on his name, Hugh Carthy.
Oh, I
That is it.
see.
Thank you.
We've been waiting 2 weeks. You've been over at the thoracic convention in Dallas, and that's the best you can bring back, mate.
It is. I think that the viewers will agree that was pretty genius.
Well, let us know,
Pretty
viewers. Stick it in the comment section down below, and we'll pick a winner next week. Probably not Darren's.
We've got some really cool content coming up for you over the next 7 days. Before we tell you what that is, we're going to read out a few of our favourite comments from the last 7. First up, underneath last week's GCN show, Mark Luke wrote in and put, "Old man's correlly to rule 14. It doesn't get any easier, you just go slower."
That does seem to be true, doesn't
Something
it?
else I can sympathise with, actually.
Yeah, actually, I've got to say, a slight irony to talking about which rules last week weren't crap. And I don't know quite how I did it, but I got the numbers muddled up. So apologies to those of you that really do follow the rules, because
that must have really annoyed them, didn't
yeah,
it?
because you see that I made a massive hash of it. So anyway, yeah, apologies. I don't know what I did. Right, under the toughest stage video, where Hank and Ollie tried as best they could to follow the route of stage 16 of the Giro, Jack42 Frost said, "You lot are getting a bit good at the production of your videos," which is very kind of you. We probably shouldn't be included in that, should we, really, Dan?
We haven't been, mate, because they haven't said anything about the in front of the camera there. It's the production. But no, fair play, and we should give a shout out to those behind the camera and behind the computer, because they are stepping it up each and every month. And it shows, doesn't it? Look back at our old videos.
The world of cycling is just about to get a hell of a lot less complicated.
Right, underneath the Italian job, Alan Wadsworth said, "Italian superbikes, but no sign of Colnago or Campagnolo. Like deep crust pizza, Italian by name only."
Yeah, it's true. It was pretty controversial, that. Not a single Campagnolo component on the mountain that day. Jason Schultz said, "What could be more Italian than a Bianchi? A Bianchi with Campagnolo, not Shimano." To be fair...
People have been riled again.
Well, yeah, but it was just kind of, you know, well, yeah, no one sent us any Campagnolo, so make of that what you will, viewers.
Finally, underneath Lotto Soudal Truck Tour, Alpha Ace 15 put, "John Canning's plus Truck Tour equals more than 10-minute video." He likes to go in depth, he loves his tools.
Yeah, it wasn't until the Lotto Soudal guys had to go in for their dinner 4 hours later that they finally got him out of the truck.
Unlocked it for him.
That's right, yeah.
Right, coming up on the channel this week then, starting on Wednesday, where we're going to show you how to train using a heart rate monitor.
Oh yeah.
And speaking of going old school, on Thursday, Ollie is riding a vintage bike and kit in the beautiful Dolomites over in Italy, which is another fantastic video, I have to say.
Well, yeah, Campagnolo fans, you will be familiar with the Croce down, I'm sure.
And you might be disappointed with what he's riding or not, or you can't give anything away. Anyway, on Friday, as ever, we've got Ask GC Anything.
Yeah, on Saturday, we tackle a fairly recent question, actually. Lycra versus baggies. Which should you wear for cycling? Then on Sunday, finally, managed to put this one to bed. Can one bike do it all?
Oh, you've done it now?
Well, no, I've still got to do the race on Thursday,
Right.
but it's a project I started some weeks ago and then got injured, and then anyway, I'm finally going to finish it off. So keep your fingers
Do you want
crossed.
to say where the race is so people can come and cheer you on the side, or not?
Well, I'm hoping to do the Castle Combe race on Thursday night. So please, would anyone who's fit or remotely fit stay away, and I'll see if I can get round.
And if you do go there, Si loves a selfie. Feel free to go up to him.
That's
Monday,
true,
of course, is the Racing News Show, which will be wrapping up the final of the Giro d'Italia, and then we'll be back in the set this time next week for the GCN show. Nearly the end of the show, and you know what that means. It is Extreme Corner.
That's right, and coming up this week, we have, well, quite frankly, stolen a cracking bit of video from our mates over at GMBN. This is Martin Ashton's new random tandem, where this week, Rob Warner gets to sit on the back.
Are we actually going to go off? We're not going to go off-road on this contraption, are we?
No, we won't go off. We're just going to go on fire road.
Mate, go on then.
Go on.
I can't steer, you mother...
That's it, you've got it. You've got it.
Dude!
Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely.
Is the power on? Is the power on?
Yeah.
I don't think it is.
It is. It's got to be. That's lovely.
Oh, hang on, I can put the seat up a bit.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, that's better.
Oh, there we are.
Bro, look at this.
It's easy.
We're riding together again after quite some time.
How does it feel when I do this?
Don't do that.
Well, you know, a bit of this.
What, Dad? Don't do that. Wait.
All right, I'll keep it straight. Oh.
What idiot got me involved in this? Oh, dude! Dude! You ever got an app bike on this that?
Insane!
Look how fucking fast it is!
Ah, such a cool video that. You've got to make sure you check it out, even though it is a mountain bike video.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Well, part of a series actually. So if you've got any suggestions for who you'd like to see on the back of Marty's random tandem, then please let us know in the comments below or contact GMBN.
Yeah. Right, now before we leave, we've got a little announcement from the GCN shop. We told you last week about a new kit in a new fan kit. So that is the jersey, which looks super cool. And then this, check it out, it's a matching base layer, matching vest
I don't
for
think
it.
I've ever had a matching base layer in my life.
No, I haven't either. So
anyway, they're all available
Shotgun.
over at shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com, where you'll also find some Italian-inspired merchandise before the race ends. Si's sporting some of it now.
Yeah.
You should find a link to the shop actually on the screen right now.
yeah, also don't forget GCN events. We've still got a few places left for GCN Avoriaz and GCN Saalbach, which are at the beginning and the end of August, respectively.
I've been working on my karaoke too.
Have you?
Well worth coming along to.
Haha, yeah, there we go. Right. Do make sure you check out the toughest stage video if you haven't seen it already. Although the Giro stage is actually today, isn't it, that we're filming this.
And not as tough as what they tried to do.
No, there's a great bit of insight in that video, so make sure you have a look.